what's going on, guys? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. This build that I made is absolutely insane for PvP, and honestly, I've gone up against most of the best setups to use in Elden Ring right now, especially for PvP. I fought against a couple of people using Moonveil Katana, I mean full intelligence builds, people spamming lightning with faith. I mean, I've gone through it all, and I can honestly say this build competes with every single one of them. Now, what makes this build so special is not the Rivers of Blood Katana that you are seeing in the gameplay here. It's something else smaller, but significant at the same time. Now, this build is going to require good response time, and you have to realize lots of quick movements here. But once you master it, trust me, it's going to be one of the best setups you've ever used. One thing that really makes this build stand out for me personally is the fact that you have the ability to pretty much evade every single attack in the game. That means we are also going to be going over one of the most overpowered Ashes of War to have in Elden Ring at the moment. So I hope you guys are excited. Let's go ahead and take a deeper dive into the build. Real quick, if you guys missed my last video, it was the Ronin Intelligence Dexterity build. Definitely top 3 in Elden Ring to use right now. If you want to check it out, I will put a link at the top of the screen. I'm going to do the same thing in this video that I do in all of my build videos. We're going to go over every single item in detail. I'm going to try my best to tell you guys exactly where to find these items and give you the most amount of information possible. Obviously, if you guys have any more questions at the end of the video, please let me know in the comments below, and I would be glad to help you out. So the first thing I want to show you guys is my stats on this build. As you can see here, I'm currently level 210. I've decided that I do not want to level up anymore. For those of you that are worried about not being able to find other players to fight against because you're going over level 150, from my personal experience, I've never had an issue finding someone to fight. It's pretty fast. So I mean, even at level 210, you can find a lot of people to PvP against. But keep in mind, I've decided not to level up anymore just in case. Our vigor is 65. We want to make sure our health is as high as possible because we are going to be up close, and we want to make sure we have as much survivability as possible, right? Also, mind is very important. Our mind is at 45. The more mind we have, the more focus points, the more we can spam Corpse Piler, which is one of the most overpowered Ashes of War in the game. For endurance, also very important, it's at 40. Strength, 21. Our dexterity is at 48. Dexterity is also very important because this is a dex and primarily arcane build. Intelligence, 15. Faith, 20, and Arcane, which is our highest stat, at 75. Arcane is a very important attribute to prioritize if you want to make a bleed type build, which is exactly what this setup is. For our primary weapon, we are using the Rivers of Blood Katana, easily one of the best weapons in Elden Ring. Another very good weapon that's on par with this one is the Moonveil Katana, which is primarily used on intelligence builds. Very good, lots of stagger, very fast, high damage attacks. If that sounds like something you are interested in, I will put a link to one of my videos at the top of the screen right now. If you want to get your hands on the Rivers of Blood Katana, this weapon is found in the late game area, the mountaintops of the giants. So you have to get pretty far into the game in order to obtain this weapon, but I will say it is definitely worth it, and you're going to appreciate it in your second playthrough. Once you've gained access to this biome through the main quest chain, you will find the Church of Repose in the southeast part of the map. As you approach the church, you will be invaded by an NPC named Bloody Finger Okina, who just so happens to be wielding the Rivers of Blood Katana, and it's your job to take it from him. The Corpse Piler Ash of War is what makes this weapon so powerful. You can stack so much damage, you have lots of range, and you can hit multiple targets, which makes this one of the best Ashes of War in Elden Ring. For our physical attack power, we have 186 plus 221. We also do 186 plus 102 fire damage. If we take a look at the attribute scaling here, we can see that this weapon heavily favors dexterity and arcane over strength, which is at E. Attributes required to wield this weapon, you need 12 strength, 18 dexterity, and 20 arcane. Keep in mind, one of the passive effects, which also makes this very good, is the blood loss buildup of 77. The higher our arcane is on this build, the more damage we are going to do with this weapon, which is why our Arcane is sitting at 75 at the moment. Now, this item right here, this Ash of War right here, is what makes this build so amazing. This is the Ash of War that I was using in the gameplay you are seeing. It is so good. You've probably seen this Ash of War Bloodhound step all over YouTube. It is easily one of the best to use. It's great for getting away from your targets, or if you need to push and put pressure on your target, it is also very good. So many different ways it can be used. That is why I love it. You can also see at the top of the screen here that we are barely using any FP, which means we can use this a lot. And we can stack this with the Corpse Piler, switch to the Rivers of Blood, and kill our targets very fast. So the main thing with this build, like I said, if you need to get out of the fight, drink some HP potions, FP potions, whatever it may be, you can. But also, if you want to get aggressive, put pressure on your opponent. It works. And the moment you switch to that Rivers of Blood katana, trust me, it is over for them. If you want to get your hands on the Bloodhounds Step Ash of War, if we take a look at the southeastern part of the map in Caelid, there's actually a site of grace called Lenny's Rise right here. Once you fast travel here, it's pretty simple. There's going to be a bridge right behind you. On that bridge, as long as it is nighttime, there's going to be a mini boss on this bridge. It will be a Black Knight. I believe it's called a Cavalry Knight. I'm not 100% sure. You don't see them right now because I've already killed this mini boss, but once you defeat this boss, you will receive the Bloodhound Step Ash of War. We have some incantations on this build, so we are using a Dragon Communion Seal. If you want to get your hands on this, it's very good for Arcane builds. I mean, take a look at this attribute scaling, guys. Fully maxed out S tier Arcane scaling. If you want to get your hands on this seal, I'm going to put a link in the description below. Not only just for this item, but for every single item that we go over in today's video. I also like having a secondary Uji Katana on my build in case I ever need to pull it out. Dual wielding these is incredible. You can stack a lot of bleed damage. My Uji Katana is fully maxed out, plus 25. We have 236 plus 271 attack power. For attribute scaling, we have strength at C, dexterity at B, and arcane at D. Keep in mind, our blood loss buildup is huge on this weapon, 115. Pair that up with the Rivers of Blood katana and you are going to stack blood loss very quickly on your target. For the apparel, honestly, for me, it's purely cosmetic, but I would focus on robustness. I think it's really important if you want to get up close, but I wanted my guy to look pretty sick, so I'm using the bandit mask. I have the fingerprint armor, the white reed gauntlets for the gloves, and the Ronin's greaves. Let me know what you guys think of this outfit in the comments below. For our first talisman, one of the best talismans to have in Elden Ring, especially for endgame and New Game Plus, is the DRAGONCREST GREATSHIELD talisman, which enormously boosts physical damage negation. This is going to give us a ton of survivability. If you want to get your hands on this talisman, you are going to have to wait until you get to endgame, to the mountaintops of the giants, and you get to the secret area at the top of the map. There is a site of grace in Haligtree called the Drainage Channel. Once you unlock this, go ahead and fast travel there. Once you've fast traveled, go ahead and make your way out this door right here. There's going to be a big tree branch to your left. Go ahead and jump here. Make sure you do not fall. Once we get here, we're going to work our way down onto this big pillar. We're going to keep making our way down, jump on this branch here over here to the left, jump down right here on this platform, and instead of going down there through that door, we're actually going to make our way up here. There is another big tree branch that we're going to jump on. Jump down from the branch right here. Be careful, you do have to drop down this hole, so make sure you land on this wooden plank right here. I'm going to try my best not to fall. Perfect. There is going to be some enemies here. Make sure you take them out, and you will see a chest right here where you can obtain this talisman. We are also using the ERDTREES Favor Talisman, which raises our maximum HP, stamina, and equipment load, which is perfect for a build like this because it is melee focused. Now, getting this talisman is a bit of a headache, the ERDTREES Favor, but basically all you have to do is you have to go to a dungeon that's early on in the game. The name of this dungeon is actually the Fringefolk Hero's Grave. This dungeon is accessed from the Stranded Graveyard. Once you fast travel to the Stranded Graveyard, there's going to be an imp statue here that requires 2 stone sword keys to open. and this is essentially where you would obtain this item. I'm going to put a full guide to getting this talisman in the description below just to save some time on the video. We are also using the CARIAN FILIGREED crest. I actually use this talisman on a lot of my builds. You guys have probably seen this one in a lot of my videos, but it's just that good. I mean, the item effect lowers FP consumed by skills. So our main skill on this build is the corpse piler, and as you can see up there, we're not using much FP for this weapon, especially when we switch over to our dagger and we use the Bloodhound step. I mean, barely any FP consumption, which makes this one of the most overpowered talismans to use. The last talisman here we are using, which is probably one of the most important, is the Winged Sword Insignia. If we look at the item effect here, raises attack power with successive attacks. Successive attacks is what this build is all about. The more we are attacking, the more damage we are going to do, and it pairs very well with the Rivers of Blood katana. If you want to get your hands on this talisman here, there's actually a dungeon in Liurnia of the Lakes. The dungeon you want to go to is right here, the Stillwater Cave. Once you get to the end of this dungeon, you will fight a boss named the Clean Rot Knight, and they will drop the Winged Sword Insignia. I want to show you guys my Wondrous Physic and some of the incantations that I'm using. I think they're very good, so they're worth mentioning. So for my Wondrous Physic here, I'm using the Thorny Cracked Tear and the Opaline Bubble Tear. The Thorny Cracked Tear temporarily boosts successive attack power, which pairs very well with the Winged Sword Insignia, and it's going to allow us to do lots and lots of damage. And the Opaline Bubble Tear is really good for the setup because it significantly negates damage received. Pair that with the DRAGONCREST Great Shield, and you are going to be extremely tanky, and the first shot you take is pretty much not going to do any damage to you. So, very good combination. For my first spell, I have the Swarm of Flies here, which is really good to use. It's a pretty slow attack, but what's good about it is you can stack it, and once it hits your target, it can stack that bleed loss before you even get to them. So once you actually start attacking your opponent, you're going to do even more damage because that blood loss has already been activated. Flame Grant Me Strength is also a very good incantation to use with the Rivers of Blood katana. Since it does fire damage, we are going to be buffing our attack power and our fire affinity attack power by using this incantation, which means we can stack even more damage with the Rivers of Blood katana. I also like having Flame Cleanse Me on me just in case I have any poison or rot, which is extremely annoying. If for whatever reason we are in an area where we are being poisoned or we have rot buildup, we can go ahead and use this spell and we don't really have to worry about it anymore, which is great. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. One of the best build setups to use in Elden Ring at the moment. If you enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, a thumbs up would be very much appreciated. It seriously helps with the algorithm, helps recommend this video to more people that may need it. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, become a part of the family, and I will see you in the next Elden Ring video. Peace.